Mystery.
Mystery, intrigue, history. What happened last session?
Ooh, mystery
Uh,
indeed.
went into the. Is it the core of night or is it just the night core?
The core of knights. You can just call it
Uh,
like the core or the CON if you prefer.
so original party went into the core, spoke with the head honcho there, and then
The
it was
face man,
essentially
his name is
Face.
his name is Face.
Ooh,
surname Man. Gender
No
unknown.
hyphen. So
Face
uh,
Manderson.
so they spoke with Face Man, got a contract job essentially to handle a sergeant or a lieutenant, a higher rank guard officer named Ken,
Kent.
last name unknown, possibly Penders. We don't know what his feelings for echidnas are yet. Um, and then was offered 2 additional bodies to assist. That's where Jar and Cain both came in. Fun introductions to the party. They got to see uh, edgy, blood tier, pale elf and Jar. Uh, went back out, started to kind of like scout for information. Uh, got some info from an old lady. Forgot exactly what that was, but I do remember going to the tavern. The tavern was just like absolutely packed. Decided to instead head out to Clayshade because we found some clues of one of the missing party members that started to kind of lead towards that direction. Met up with a tarot reader who told some fortunes, some ominous tales, but also some like relatively good clue leading areas. And before I had to dip out because of my internet, I do remember that we got the location of Sergeant Ken, which was towards the main square area where the more bougie tavern is. Uh, got told off for not being subtle. Jar says there's no reason for underhanded tactics. That is not the warrior way. And then I just completely lost internet for the rest of the day after that.
yeah, we went to the tavern again, and we managed to find a kid, and we asked him a little bit about Kent, what he could ask us about him, because Kane noticed that when we are fishing for information, he was at the side, like rolling his eyes. So I went to talk to him, and he gave us some dirty info about Kent, and he also gave us a name of a girl, Annie, who works on a cut above salon, and she probably have a lot of things to say about Kent. So we are planning on paying her a visit to see if we can get some nice juice, dirty secrets. And that's
Secret
pretty much when we ended.
Yeah, we didn't carry on that much after you dipped out, Kate. So it's currently early afternoon, around 1:30, 2 p.m. The place that you have been pointed to next is a cut above salon, which is number 8 on the map. Is there anything in particular that you guys would like to accomplish, or am I correct in assuming you guys just want to head straight there?
Uh,
Mm,
I would feel like going straight there.
yeah,
All right, Jar's leading. And then Jar turns the wrong way.
Yeah. Ja, wrong way. Come back.
Oh, yes, thank you. These buildings all look similar.
On your way through, just before you turn the wrong way, you would pass through this town square area, which is where you've been told that your target, Officer Kent, has been patrolling or guarding recently. It's quite a nice open area. There's a few market stalls around selling various goods. There's a nice fountain in the centre that currently a horse is drinking deeply out of. You don't spot anyone that looks notably like a guard. But you do enjoy the surroundings and the garden, especially after you take the wrong way and go through the garden.
Quick dip into the garden before dipping right back out.
And finally, you make your way to slightly less crowded buildings. The buildings also look as if each room is constructed to be a little bit larger, a little bit more accommodating than the types of buildings that you've been in so far. The cut above salon is like the sign itself is glowing. It looks like electricity, but there's no bulbs that you can see. It just seems to be glowing like a very bright pink. It's a very hard to miss building.
Is the facade like glass? We can see through that like inside, or it's just like a normal facade?
There is a glass window, but there is like a beaded curtain that hangs over it to give light to the inside while still giving privacy to the inhabitants.
Okay.
But there is also a front door, which, while also has a beaded curtain, does also have a sign saying open.
Perfect. Jar pushes inside.
You're greeted at the counter that's immediately in front of you as you enter by a very dark looking woman. Dark lips, dark hair, dark face. She glares at you darkly as you approach. A haircut?
Actually, we came from Annie. Is he around? Is she around?
Oh, yes, Annie. Oh, she's one of our most requested nowadays. It's oh so nice to see her. She's gotten quite the step up from assistant. She's mostly a colorist, so what are we looking for here?
Yeah, I'm thinking about a haircut for me. You see, my hair has been this long for quite some time, and I had really good words about her work. So I thought, why not come here and see?
The receptionist just glances at your hair. Oh, God, those split ends. I can see them coming from a mile off, darling. Of course, we can get you in straight away.
I too would also like a little off the top.
The receptionist looks at you very nervously. The top?
Yes.
Of what?
Jar just kind of like points, just like to the top.
To like the top of the jar?
Yeah, just like just to the top of the jar, just like the flat bottom part that's like facing upwards.
I think we perhaps don't have quite the right tools for you, I'm afraid, sir.
Oh, quite unfortunate, but that is all right. I understand. Not all well-known shops are capable of having all services provided.
You know, there is a bit of a backwater type place in the capital that it does cater to tieflings. They may have the sanders that you're requiring.
Oh, that is very good information. Thank you for that.
Now, Annie does have a spot available in 5 minutes.
That sounds good.
I mean, it was her lunch break, but we could always do with another paying guest. Now, are you just here for a cut, or how do you maintain that white hair? It's rather fabulous.
It's natural gift.
Oh, lovely. So I'm assuming you don't want it dyed at all, just cut.
Yeah, I don't think it would work anyway. But thanks for the yes.
Lovely. Just take a seat over there. And she points
Sure.
to an area just to her left. And looks at the others. Umbra, who has a full body like helmet and mask on. Brook, who I believe has similar? Or is it
no,
just the
it's
face
just the front.
mask?
Yeah, he's just front. Like, he's got, like, short hair as is.
Right. And then Zell, what's Zell's hair condition?
Could do with a wash.
And are there any other services we could provide for the rest of you?
Zell, like, how much for a wash and tidy up?
For that is it's 5 silver.
This is sorted.
Lovely.
Zell gets out 5 silver.
Let's take a seat next to your companion.
Yep. Zell does so. Just adjust the money thing.
At the offer of, any form of hair care, Umbra will very much decline, but kind of hover around Cain and Zell. And therefore the receptionist's eyes fall on Brook.
No, thanks. It's short enough as it is.
I can see that. Oh, Annie. It seems she's done with her last customer. Please go on through. Both of you, I think one of her assistants can give you the wash that you need. Satyr, sir.
Thank you.
Is she already in the room, Annie?
So the room itself is kind of one of those enclosed type foyers. It just has the reception desk, a couple of waiting chairs, and then like a wall beyond. And it's someone who has a very nicely, freshly done hair has just popped through the beaded curtains in that go further into the building. Who appears to be Annie's last client, but you have not yet seen Annie.
Okay.
Now, do you all wish to stay out here, or we have kind of private rooms for our customers? You can all wait in there while your friends are getting their hair done.
Oh,
Yeah,
Well,
Shar
if you
will-
don't mind, I would love to have them with me, for emotional support.
Very well. Please, everyone can go on through then. She kind of whispers under her breath, and stop making the place look so scruffy.
Jar's going to sit in the front room
Oh dear.
and is gonna like pick up a magazine.
The one that you pick up appears to be geared towards like bored housewives and teenage girls. There's a lot of gossip on a couple of more prolific taboo authors and the romances going on in their current series. There is a quiz that you can do to see which of the 5 factions best fit you. And another quiz as to whether or not you had the potential to have been one of the Emperor's 13 wives.
It is a warrior's way to receive any and all information possible. Jar will read through this. Looking up to their companions would just be say, I will keep watch upon the front door here.
Oh, thank you, Jar. And I'll pick the magazine and turn around to the right side and give him back to you. Here, this way. And I'll
Jar,
go
yeah.
into the room.
Also in the magazine, just before I forget, Jar, you will also learn the best way to make oatmeal cookies. The hint is to not include raisins.
Oh, that is Jar's favorite addition.
And the nicest way to exfoliate cracked or dried hands. Which you admit may be something you could do with every now and then.
This is completely useless to me. What use does a warrior have for smooth, soft hands?
Are you saying like all this out loud, by the way, while it's just you and the receptionist in the room now?
Jar is very much like whenever something like of intrigue comes up, he'll just like say like quips aloud, just like
Okay.
why is Madame Nightingale here trying to coalesce with Mr. Johansson? Scandal! I do not understand this.
The receptionist just kind of go, I know, right? Mr. Johansson was just like so much better off single, or maybe with Mrs. Featherbottom.
I believe that this Mr. Johansson in general is not good for any of them. He surely does not show any warrior spirit.
Well, he did win that duel a couple of books ago.
One duel. What is that? To a single warrior. Simply a drop in the big ocean.
She gets a bit weirded out by that and continues to go back to her own magazine. We'll continue with the 4 who have gone inside. As you part the beaded curtains, go into the main part of the building, you see you've entered more into a corridor. There's doors to your left, doors to your right. One of them is open, and a very bright, smiling gnome looks up at all of you. You must be my new walk-in.
And you must be Annie.
That's right. My name's Annie.
I'm sorry if this is going to sound weird. We actually here to, and I sit down. We actually here to
She beckons you all in, shuts the
talk
door behind you all.
to you about Kent, a friend of yours. Say that you and him has some history.
Yes, history. He's so awesome.
I'm sorry. I forgive me for not making this clear, but we're not here to fish for praises for him. It's the other way around.
Oh, only praises here. Kent helps out all of the community. Oh, yeah.
Does he now?
He's super nice. Now, are you wanting a cut or not?
I want to look around the place to see if there's any, record device or something that's make her
Yeah.
afraid or anything.
That will be a perception check.
Did I do the same but magically?
That will be an arcana check.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like that arcana. I don't like that roll though.
Me
So
neither.
just to set the scene a little bit more, the room itself has got two like customer chairs. They're slanted back a little bit. And there's a sink kind of at the head of each of them. Annie is not alone in terms of employees in this room. There is quite a young human assistant as well. The assistant, she looks like she's about 14.
Oh,
She looks like she's only
so
recently graduated from like hair sweeping and stuff.
mm,
Except for that, the room seems to be quite bare. It just seems to be like a regular brick room. A couple of shelves with various cleaning products, hair grooming items, scissors, that kind of thing. As the pair of you are busy looking around the room, you don't see anything in particular vibe-wise that's going on between either of the two employees. But neither of you find anything to indicate that she's being recorded.
okay. I want to ask the assistant, be like, I'm sorry. Could you make us a favor? My friend is outside the room and he is so thirsty. Could you maybe get him some water if you can, of course.
Yes, that's a lovely idea. Why don't you go do that, darling? The assistant just bows and scuttles off, shutting the door behind her. And Annie doesn't take a second before just like slamming her scissors on this little table next to you. Now, who the fuck are you, and why the fuck are you interested in this scumbag Kent?
Well, we cannot say too much about our motives, but we mean only good. A friend of yours, and that's the name. I don't remember the boy's name.
Yeah,
I don't think we got
unfortunately.
with their name.
Yeah, I don't think you ever did. I haven't written it down either.
Yeah,
So
so I'm
we'll
just
go
gonna
with
describe him.
Tommy.
Zell sort of interjects and says, "Kid who works at the Iron Flagon."
Oh yes, Tommy. Yes, he's the kid brother of a friend of mine.
Yes, indeed. We all talked to him about Ken himself, and he expressed some, well, let's just say, discontentment. And he mentioned your name and that you had some moments not so pleasant with this guy, and he does not look so good. So we thought about asking you a little bit about it.
He is a monster. What more needs to be said?
Figure so. And what about the fact that you were following him into some kind of meeting, right?
I can't quite figure out exactly what the meeting is about or what he's doing there, but yes, he goes for meetings in the afternoon, evening, I think, once a week with his cousin. Now, his cousin, I know, is a member of the Children of the Earth. So I can't imagine what he would be doing there normally.
Do you know his name?
No, I just know that he works around like the Taylor area. People do sometimes call him Harrison. So maybe that's it.
And where do they meet again?
They meet in somewhere in the textile manufacturing square. They go through one of the doors, like one of the dyeing or weaving building doors, never the same one twice. So there must be some kind of underground place.
I see. And I'll look at the rest of the party, putting a face like, do you guys have any more questions?
Nope.
Well, around that time, the assistant will return with a glass of water. Set it down on the table. Now, I believe you needed a wash on this hair, she says to Zell.
Yes. I'll wash, tidy, that sort of thing. Make it look a little bit less ridden.
Annie will similarly pick up her scissors again and just say, yes, I believe that we have decided on what kind of hairstyle you would like.
Yes. Just trim the edges. You know, I'm quite content with my actual hairstyle.
Beautiful, beautiful. And the pair of them will get to work, beautifying you up a little bit more. And in the end, Zell has already paid, which, so they would not be given any additional charge or anything. You feel quite a bit more clean and pampered now. Cain, your hair's just been like neatened up a little bit. It's 5 silver at the desk. Have a lovely day.
You too.
And she gets down off of her very tall stepladder and goes to open the door for you all.
Thank you for everything.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Now, have a good day.
And I go to the receptionist and I pay the silver for the service.
Lovely. Yep, Jar's just been, I assume, sitting out there waiting patiently. A couple of other patrons of the salon have come in and gone as you've been sitting there. Some of them have given you odd looks. You finished the magazine you were reading and you picked up another one and learned all about the finest armor trends that have been rocking the middle class lately. It seems like studded armor is out, padded leather is in.
Jar looks up and just says to the group, I have discovered that apparently I would have been the 9th bride.
There is an audible snort coming from the receptionist.
Good for you, buddy. I have absolutely no idea what that means.
Do you whisper that aloud?
Yeah. It's Brook.
Yeah.
Zell just smirks.
Umbra would probably say something along the lines of, "Ah, yes, the 9th bride. I'm sure I myself would be a first bride."
Yeah.
Well, let us find out. There is a questionnaire here in this magazine that we can fill out together.
Very well.
May I ask
13
how much
possible
time do you
brides.
spent?
I am remembering and bringing this up next game.
It's been about half an hour that you guys have been in here total by now. Umbra would take the test as well. Just gonna bring up, so the 9th bride was the Queen of North Brattle, Dallas of House Tyron. And Umbra, somewhat taken abackly, would be the 11th bride, who would be Chala of South Brattle.
Jar would just kind of point and just be like, would you look at that? We are not too far apart from each other then.
What an
Is what they say
interesting
art
result.
emits life.
Sorry, say again?
Is what they say art always cops life.
I think I can't
And
turn
how
you
is
up.
everyone in the salon look at us?
Yeah, there's thankfully there's only the receptionist in there right now. She's gotten all the payment from you. She's offered receipts, and she is definitely loudly and passive aggressively flipping her magazine.
Jar is going to snap their fingers and is going to point at Umbra and says, that is where I've heard of that. South Brattle. That is the location that lost against my hometown.
Umbra sounds quite surprised there. You're from North Brattle?
No, I am from Jathan.
Oh. Interesting.
Though I have heard tales of how weak South Brattle's army was also against North Brattle.
Yes, so I have read.
Jar just firmly pats Umbra on the back and says, do not worry, friend. It does not mean that you are weak as a warrior, but rather that you simply have much to improve on. Just letting out a hearty chuckle, then just kind of pushes on through the door outside.
Umbra will just center himself a little bit and follow outside.
Yeah, we follow until, I guess.
Lovely. So it's getting towards 3 p.m. now. The meeting time that you're aware of is at 7:30 p.m. over here. Anything else that you guys
So-
would like to do?
Am I missing something? Did I hear that this Kent was about around the fancy tavern, or am I misremembering?
No,
you're
we
remembering.
got a note from the guards at like going out to Clayshade that around his lunch he stays around the number 2, the North Arms Coaching Inn.
Right, but his the reason he stays there is because his normal place of patrol is around like the garden and the plaza area directly in front of the coaching house.
Do we have any idea who the physical do we have a physical description?
I think Annie would probably have described him as the blonde, blue-haired devil. I mean, the blonde, blue-eyed devil.
I was gonna say it's just like, oh, so his hair isn't blonde. His hair's
No,
blue.
his eyes are blonde. He's blonde-eyed, blue-haired.
I wish I could make that canon, but I cannot find artwork that quick.
Not just color correct.
I don't know how to do that on a Mac either, but I do have a token, so just use your imagination. Fuck it. He's a blonde, blue-haired devil. So you could do a little skulk around the town square, see if you can see who he is.
Yes, Zell suggests meeting up at the Iron Flagon before we go to the square in the evening, and then Zell takes a turn and wanders through the garden and does perception whilst wandering about.
Lovely. Are you looking for someone with blue hair? Yeah, or anything else?
Blue eyes, you mean, or blue?
No,
what?
we're running with it.
No,
Blue hair.
blonde eyes, blue hair.
Okay, blonde eyes, blue hair. Yeah.
Strange obsession with echidnas. We're looking for Kent Penders.
And try to see if you find the doors too.
So finding you don't find anyone that has particularly striking hair, but as you are walking about in the garden, it's kind of like a small like wildlife sanctuary. You do come across just a mammal, a very small mammal, just trotting across the pathway. It seems that it lives somewhere in this park. And doesn't fear humanoids very much because it's about the size of a forearm. It's got quite fluffy, quite a fluffy body, and a little bit of a pointed snout.
This is just a. Well, before I do the obvious thing that Zell would do, I'd like to roll a nature check to see and figure out what it is.
You can do that. Does anyone else follow Zell into the garden, by the way? Because 5 is an interesting result.
I can assist him.
Sure, why not? I'll join in the nature.
Umbra probably would, just to keep an eye on everyone else. I assume Jar does as well?
No, Jar is kind of just like standing out, like facing towards the fountain and all that.
I see. It is not in a warrior's way to take willful strolls through the park. Zell, buddy, you really should know better, but it's been a while since you really convened with nature, so the best you can find was, damn, that's a big rat. It's Brooke, you've read about this creature before. It's a creature that you were researching somewhere in your second doctorate. It's a platypus.
He just stares at it for a while. Because that is what Brooke does. Brooke stares.
It's got a
And
big
then
old
just-
bill.
Damn, does it have a hat?
Oh, it's got a leaf on its head.
Close enough. Brooke will just kneel down to it and then just influence Sylvan and go, yo, what's up?
The platypus will jiggle its way towards you.
I respect.
So what I was going to say is that I'm trying to decide whether Zell would have the same idea that I have, which is that Brooke actually has a really good track record with animals, even though Brooke can't actually speak to animals.
You want to be like a translator or something.
Yeah. Zell would like to cast Speak with Animals and act as a translator.
Cool.
I mean, Brooke will just tell you, this is a platypus. Gives you the full Latin name. Gives you, the scientific basic history of the platypus and the platypus-related families.
Yes. So unless I say otherwise, Zell will just be acting as a translator. So if Brooke wants to speak to it, Zell will let Brooke know that's what Zell's doing.
I should really learn that spell. It would have made things so much easier. Anyway.
Alright.
Alright.
You got any bread, son?
Have I got any bread? You fucking damn right I got some bread.
Give me that fucking bread then, eh? Or I'll stab you.
Oh. Fucking will you now?
Oh, well. You see my
I
back
produce-
feet?
Ah,
And the platypus literally will raise one of its little rear flippers and show off the very real thing that platypuses. Thank you.
Petri dishes.
That they have. Male platypi have just next between their foot and their hip. They have these big old spurs that are basically just venom fangs. And if you get stung by one of those in modern day world that we as humans live in, you will be put into a medically induced coma for several months because the pain is that bad.
Yeah, I found a way for you to switch characters. No, I respect. Here's mine. I'd take the greatsword off my back temporarily and put it back on. Here is bread. I'd produce bread.
Is that some fucking sourdough you got there?
Maybe.
He'll shuffle up to you a little more, wiggling his butt back and forth, stand up on his hind legs, grab the bread out of your hand, scuttles away over into a nearby bush. Oh yeah, oh it's got a little bit of seat in it as well, oh yeah.
We're taking this platypus to kill the second emperor. I don't care. Right. I've discovered the platypus is a bread addict.
It's got a
Good to
duck
know.
bill. That's basically the same thing, right?
You're not meant to feed dogs bread, unfortunately.
I know. It's very bad for them. It's like feeding me crisps. I'll enjoy it, but it's not great for me.
It's like feeding the DM backstory with trauma in it. You're not meant to,
But
but
they
you do
will
it
really
anyway.
love it.
Exactly.
I make it a necessity. You have to feed it to me. Knife roll, baby.
What are we doing in this park, Zell?
Oh, some
Says-
good fucking bread. Thank you very much. Anyway,
That's
what are you
alright,
doing
mate.
in my turf?
It says,
That's
Zell says to Brook, and the platypus. So it says we're looking for Ken.
He kicks me.
Says, yeah, I've heard he's not a pleasant individual.
You see this you see my other foot? He'll extend like the foot that he didn't show you the spur on before, and you see that on this side, his like toxic leg spur has actually been snapped off. I tried to stab him with my little hurty-doos, but his foot was all made of steel and leather, and it hurt me more than it hurt him.
DM, can I arm the platypus?
Well, technically, because you didn't become an armourer artificer.
True. But I became a
If
weapons
only we had one of
artificer.
those. You can give the platypus a dagger.
I need to acquire a dagger.
Which I feel...
So, let me just find.
All this
my,
goes on in Brook's head. He does not openly suggest allowing the platypus to bear arms.
Sorry, canon now.
Also, I like how it's only me in there
So far.
so far.
So, oh wait, no, it's all in your head. It's like you can't. Okay, never mind. Because I was like looking at my skills, saying, how can I possibly arm this platypus? And I was just like, oh no, wait, Zell doesn't know this.
Brook would have designed combat armor for the platypus. It's fine. He's done it before. Not arming a platypus, I'll preface. He's never armed a platypus.
It would be a professional first for him.
So I don't think it's something he'd put in his academic transcript.
Maybe on his CV if he needed to pad it out.
If Brook
need
needs
at
to pad out
least-
his CV, that's concerning.
Need at least 1 year experience arming platypi.
Exactly.
It's part of your
One copper
masters.
piece a day starting rate.
Zell has a thought, saying, says he'd certainly be out of the way if he wasn't capable of performing his duty.
Zell, are you implying that we use a platypus as a biological weapon to administer a lethal, I say lethal, near-lethal
really
neurotoxin with the intention of causing a medically induced coma on a guard?
Says, well, if this guy's such the bad guy we've been hearing about, says like, and we're not, and we've been strictly been told we're not allowed to
Yo.
kill him. It's just like our options are either some sort of blackmail, or just making him incapable of doing his job.
I believe we would also be rendering him incapable of existing. Medically induced, well, let's see, biologically induced comas are not a fun thing.
I mean, out of character, I don't think the core of Knight necessarily care how he's taken out.
True.
I think if if we work out with the poison in some medicine way, we could like lower the dosage so it not be so harm for him, but still be uh, worth, you know?
Zell asks, Brooke, since good nature check, says, can platypus poison work if ingested?
Out of character, no, because it is a venom. It's not a poison.
That is exactly right.
It
We
has
could,
to.
Zell wouldn't know this though.
No, yeah, but for like actual, I'm assuming like 24, but yeah. So platypi have venom. They don't have poison. Poison insinuates that it is an ingested, usually like inhalation through the mouth, anyway, like that. Venom has to be injected. So technically, if Kent had like, I don't know, bad tooth hygiene and a mouth wound, yeah, it'll affect him. But it needs to be injected.
So what you're saying is someone in the party needs to punch him really hard in the face first.
or we could use, I don't know if that's a possibility, but a blowgun with the venom on
I think we're
a dart, you know?
I think we're looking over the obvious in the fact that the platypus probably wouldn't mind a bit of revenge. We just need to place the platypus somewhere where Kent will be unarmored.
Does anyone have proficiency in platypus?
I have animal handling
Stop
proficiency.
making me want to add things into the
I have both animal handling and survival. That's the best I got.
It's so dumb. I've just got the image of a platypus being thrown.
I do not have the strength to throw a platypus.
How much
There
do
are few
they?
who can.
I'd have to change my spells. I couldn't use catapult.
Just
I don't think Brock would, to be honest.
Is Zell going to relay any of this any of this debate to the platypus, whose name you have not learnt yet?
Oh my god, you guys didn't even ask his name.
I mean, I sort of speak speak in a way, especially I sort of speak so that the thing that I said about placing the platypus somewhere where Kent is armored, I say that so the platypus would overhear it. But
Well, yeah, but Zell needs to do the direct translation. No, not direct translation. You know what, Zell? You're the one that talks to it. Why didn't you ask? Why didn't you ask the platypus's name? You're the only one that can.
yes, good point. Zelda says, pardon, might I know your name?
Sure. My name's Bruce.
Right then, Bruce says, we are not fans of Kent, and I'm sure you are also not particularly happy with Kent being around.
Be accurate.
Saying, we haven't decided on anything yet, but would you be open to the idea of maybe getting him with your remaining
Spur. It's called a spur.
spur.
My mum always said they made me look so much tougher. Except for the fact that I didn't show them for a few years.
Says, says, I'm not gonna lie. It might be dangerous for you.
If you can get him into a position where I'm not gonna end up breaking off my only remaining defense option besides my charm and personality, I'll do your work for you.
Zell relays this back, saying, Bruce says that says if we can get him unarmored so that he won't break his remaining spur, he's willing to do it. Saying Zell also says, but I could also ask if we might extract venom from him, should you feel like this is a better way of doing it.
Yeah, because we could have a plan B, in case the plan A does not work.
Zell says, a plan B would be good, but probably one not involving the venom. We don't want to hedge all our bets on the venom.
True. Hmm. And that's a question for the DM. Would Cain, with his years of medicine and everything, he would know some way to incapacitate a person without venom, without poison or anything like that.
Yeah, there's definitely a few ways that you can think of to help temporarily incapacitate someone. You can,
Mhm.
if they lose enough blood, they won't be able to move anywhere. If they're quite drunk, they're fairly incapacitated. If they're wrapped up in other interests at the moment, they can be fairly blind to what's going on.
Yeah, I think the alcohol is a good way too, because we know he stays at the tavern, right? The
The coaching in the
the
fancy
inn,
one.
yeah, and we could get him drunk, and then the job would be easy, well, easier.
But exactly what's our plan once we've essentially sedated him with um uh, you know uh, putting stuff in his drink. What's our plan past that point? We've got an unconscious, ideally an unconscious Kent, either in a situation where ideally in a situation where we have sort of full control of the situation, but what if he passes out in public? And then, like, if he does pass out in private and we do get a hold of him, then what do? Like, we can't kill him. We can't just leave him because then he'll just wake up and nothing's changed. We'd have to do something.
I mean, I'm
I
not
mean,
comfortable with someone who, quite frankly, doesn't sound like a very nice person being in a position of any form of power. Logically, he's not the head guard, right? So if he's drunk, passed out on duty, stands to reason he'd be removed from duty, right?
I mean,
Duty, right?
I mean, 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 I me
At least that's my logic.
It would depend on how influential he is within the guard. He
But-
might not have. He might not have any direct power, but he could have other people in his pocket, or he could just be liked by his colleagues. We'd have to make sure that the rest of the guard is all, at least the majority of the guard is all up to the right standard that they would actually do something.
I mean, maybe then we just hold off, see what this meeting is about. Maybe that'll lead to something that we can then use.
Certainly, if we can figure something out about this meeting, it might it might give us more options. I turn to Bruce to say thank you for your time. Oh, who was that?
That was Mavis.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
We'll give them a second, but we are still rolling. Wait, yeah, I did actually hit record this test session, so they can always check up.
Oh, that's excellent. Yes. So, yeah. We're just waiting for a moment, aren't we? Or we
We can go
continuing?
ahead.
Okay,
Or I can pause and I can see what Jar's been up to in the square.
Ooh, that's a good idea, because I've completely forgotten what I was saying.
I'll give you a sec.
Jar
to,
has been looking out towards the fountain area, just kind of like while they're off in the garden. Jar kind of like looks back, sees that they're all just kind of like squatting around some kind of animal. Jar's just kind of like staring off towards like the fountain area, just kind of like keeping watch, I guess.
It could be an echidna, it could not be.
God, fucking Kent Penders.
Do you want to roll a nature check to see if Jar knows what it is?
No, Jar would not. Jar doesn't only knows 3 animals: cat, dog, and horse. Birds are their own thing. They don't count as animals.
They are not, in fact, real. They are
Strange
figments of the
sky
government.
demons.
They're empire drones.
Yes.
Roger, Roger.
No, Jar's not a conspiracist.
Jar is just Jar.
Jar's a warrior.
Jar has the will of the warrior, not the will of the
Anti-warrior
conspiracist.
drones.
I guess like while they're going around talking, I would just kind of like take a look out. Like I do know just from everybody talking, like the general kind of look of the guy. So I guess I will just kind of like look out, see if I can see any visage of a blue-haired, blonde-eyed, armored man.
You can see this map, I assume, right?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, as you approach like the fountain area in the center of this map, you do indeed see a gentleman who fits this description, despite what the token may show, who is talking to some merchant, a merchant who seems to be selling fruit. The blue-haired individual is quite annoyed at the merchant, is all you can tell from the distance you're at.
Can I attempt to determine just kind of like off of expression from like I don't want to approach too close, but can I like determine the merchant's like demeanor, like how they're feeling in this situation?
Yeah, that would be insight.
All right. That's a 19.
Yeah, the merchant is feeling quite stressed out. Like just really not having like the best time of their life. You see that they're like, grasping a couple of pieces of fruit, and you can see that they're quite like sad and rotten looking. And the merchant is almost like begging with Kent.
Okay. Jar is going to start moving closer. Let's see. Just to kind of like start to hear in, just so that way they can like get an idea of what's being said.
Okay, are you attempting to do this stealthily?
No,
Okay.
Jar does not stealth. That is not the warrior's way.
I think in the quote Hall of Fame category, we could just have "that is not the warrior's way" for every response.
It's either that is the warrior's way or that is not the warrior's way.
Yes.
There's only two directions for Jar.
It's
can't
the
wait.
one time I'll support the binary.
I can't wait until we do like the Schrodinger's warrior's way, where it is simultaneously the warrior's way, yet simultaneously not the warrior's way, and Jar just fucking implodes.
That
he can't
is
make a
low-key
decision.
my dream as a DM to construct that exact scenario. Sorry.
You may attempt, but I will warn you. Jar is lawful, but I, as the player, am chaotic. I will make you regret trying to determine what is and isn't the warrior's way.
Being caught up in logical fallacies is not the warrior's way. But okay, so neither is sneaking. You amble towards the fountain, just looking down towards it. You can hear it's a slightly hushed conversation, but nonetheless it'll ring true enough in your ears from the distance. Kent seems to be admonishing the merchant for bringing such sad and tired fruit into the nicest part of the city, and tells him that he should go and sell it to the Iron Flagon to be made into mead.
Okay, is the merchant saying anything in response?
He's basically begging that like the Iron Flagon doesn't give anywhere near enough of a return that he needs. He's been his donkey died 2/3 of the way towards Relaine, so he had to drag the entire cart full of fruit into the city on his own back. And he desperately needs all of this, and he swears that they weren't infected by the epidemic because he left before it was ever a problem. And that he just needs some time to be able to get enough of his wares together. And then he can pay Kent back.
From my insight, can I determine if this is like genuine, kind of like stress, or is he just kind of like playing this up?
The merchant does seem to be quite genuine.
Okay.
You do sense he was exaggerating a little bit with the donkey part. He probably didn't drag an entire cart full of fruit and vegetable on his own back, 1/3 of the way between cities, but
Had to buy a new donkey, that's why needs high return. Sort of thing.
or maybe he kidnapped a couple of platypi.
Why do I now have an image of two platypi pulling a cart?
Oh god, no! I'm gonna have to beat up this merchant if he's mushing platypi. That's not the warrior's way.
Where's the line? So
You need a full team of platypi. You need like 10, 12, a baker's dozen. Okay,
Rudolph
Jar
is the one in
is
front.
big red glowing bill. All right, Jar is going to Yeah, I think Jar's gonna move up again. And again, not being stealthy at all. Like, Jar is very much just like this kind of, not necessarily brazen to the point of carelessness, but they do not like hide their approach. They're not being brash with it, but they also aren't like minimizing themselves.
That's great. So
Uh,
they can just full on approach.
yeah,
And the
and then
conversation dies off the second they notice you, which is about 10 feet away.
looking towards the merchant, Jar is then going to reach in, is going to take out 5 gold pieces, and is going to place it into the merchant's hand, and is going to say, "I will take however much this purchases."
The merchant looks at you like he's about to cry and kiss your feet and run away forever all at the same time. Thank you. Thank you. He just turns around. He gathers like 2 crates full of apples and pears, and then there's another of onions and potatoes, which does look a lot better quality than the fruit does.
Garden-
There's 2.
Jar then like looks over and says, "Hold on. One does not simply deny quality onto being sold. To claim that the visage of food is what determines its quality is to say that it has 0 nutritional value." He then like grabs an onion and just like underneath the jar, though you literally cannot see how he's doing it. And then you just like hear the crunch, and he just pulls out like a half-bitten onion,
Like skin
and
and
then
all.
skin and all, and he just says, "That is a true warrior's path."
Kent just looks you up and down in the most suspicious way possible. Quite disgusted as well, and he'll just say, "It's just as well that you're wearing that helmet. I'd hate to smell your breath now."
Breath may smell simply from what you eat, but unfortunately a face will always repulse no matter what.
Aye, so that's why you wear that thing, do you?
I wear my helm to prove that I am a warrior, focused on my resolve and my path. Why do you wear your armor? Simply to look the part? To claim that you are a warrior without proving otherwise? I see nothing of the warrior's path emanating from you.
Aye, that'll be because I'm not the warrior, I'm the peacekeeper in this city. Part of the peace is to make sure that people don't get sick, like they might do eating this crap.
I taste nothing ill here. As the merchant says, it has not been touched by anything wrong. I think that you are simply judging based off of the appearance, and not off of the quality.
Kent is going to drag his thumb and forefinger through his quite luscious blue beard. Although it's not been allowed to grow wildly like a pirate's would, it's been very carefully maintained into a very stylish, pointed goatee. Beauty, aye. You know, maybe I should go by the salon again one of these days. Maybe I could do with a touch-up. What do you ken?
Sorry, can you repeat that last one?
He just said, maybe I could do with a touch-up. What do you think?
I think you must focus less upon your own vanity and more upon what you actually claim to be, a peacekeeper.
Aye, very well. Now why don't you go about elsewhere and leave this little square of the city nice and peaceful?
Jar then takes the crates, just kind of lifts them up, and says, perhaps I have no more business here for the moment. But until you can claim that I have no business otherwise, I may take my time to loiter about. Good day to you, sir. And then it's just gonna heft the crates of fruit and onions and potatoes just back towards the gardens.
First, as you turn, you'll see Kent receiving some of the gold that you just gave the merchant. And then he was gonna pull out this notebook, and he's watching you leave and furiously writing in it. And I believe then you would probably get to the gardens in the middle of everyone else arguing about how best to envenomate Kent, and then how best to get him drunk. I believe is about where you left off.
Yeah.
With to the end, with the herbalist kit, can I would I be able to get the poison out of the platypus and put in some weapon or something?
How illegal is it to publicly milk a platypus in broad daylight? I'm not a lawful character in the sense that I abide by the law to a T, but I just want to know out of character how bad the party's gonna be.
Well, unfortunately, you do have a lawyer in the party, but she is missing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sweet, the law's optional. Get away with anything within reason.
We could just portray we are taking care of it without trying to be not
I
be too
mean, there's
open.
quite a few bushes. Feels like Bruce would help you with the stealth element.
And besides, his feet is on the feet is smashed, so I can just pretend oh, I'm taking care of your feet, and I'm actually getting some venom.
Yeah, you could totally say there's a splinter in his pad or something. You have no idea how legal it is to milk a platypus of its venom. A sentence I never thought I would say, including in the last half hour.
So what's the plan whatsoever?
Oh yeah, but to answer the rest of your question, if you get the venom and coat a weapon in it, it would, and you slash someone with it, as long as the person was slashed with the weapon within about an hour of the weapon being coated, you reckon it might work.
Okay.
I'm assuming you're not competent in poisoners kits or anything of the
No.
like.
I just have an herbalist.
Herbalism isn't too far away. Because you'd have some crossover skills. So yeah, I would I'd like adjust the DC accordingly for you to be able to like properly complete it if you wanted to.
Okay. I just gonna kind of just like put that out to the party. It's like that's an option if you guys feel like it.
Maybe. I'm still of the opinion that we see what happens at the meeting, because there could be something there that we could go.
Yeah, Zell says yes. This is where Bruce lives, so we can always come back.
Unless I'm looking for more bread or veggies, I'm generally here.
And we could probably bring some more bread and veg for you.
And a nice beer would do me very well, thank you.
Noted.
I want to take 5 familiar now, just so I can have Bruce as a familiar.
I would not be unopposed to this.
It's not an artificer spell, unfortunately.
I would not be unopposed to you using an entire feat just to take that spell. Which I think is doable.
It's doable, but it's not on the cards.
Womp womp.
The only other thing is just use persuasion to try and ask Bruce to come with us, but that's a bit more
We'll
less
leave
reliable.
Bruce. We're gonna come back in 9 months' time, and he's gonna be like ruling the entire core of night. Like the face man's gonna take off their mask, and it's just gonna be Bruce, who's standing on top of like 9 other platypuses.
The face man is just 9 platypi in a trench coat.
I can see it.
Very well, you think that you have captured us, but it is I, Bruce.
No, we don't need to do a recap next session. All we gotta say is Bruce and then start the session. Don't explain anything.
We're not going to tell Bailey what has happened at all. Or Sarah, if she happens to be able to come.
Bruce and 11th wife, that's all.
Yeah, Bruce and 11th wife.
Bruce and the magazine of doom.
Also, for next time, you might need to remind me of the name of that 11th wife, because now I'm just I'm going to be calling Umbra by that name.
So the name of all
under
of the
the
wives, yeah, thank you, is under world law, notable NPCs, and then the queens.
Oh,
of their
thank
say.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the one that Umbra got was Chala House of Katiran.
Cartyran.
Cartyran.
Like Tyran as in tyrant, and
Yeah,
then add a car
Cartyre.
in front.
Charla. Oh yeah, I got it. Charla. Just kill Umbra Charla from. And sorry, I find this highly amusing.
It is. Bailey, I'm sorry, Bailey is really going to regret going to work today.
You think you can earn a living, Charla?
You fool.
Yeah.
So you have several possible plans, but overall, if I understand correctly, it seems you guys want to try and check out the meeting first?
Yes. Also, I just Zell would like say bye for now to Bruce, but yeah. Yeah.
See you later, and don't forget my beer.
Sure, see you, Bruce.
And he waddles away.
I can, if you really want to listen to the meeting, I can wild shape into something stealthy and try to get in.
Hmm. Stealthy.
Maybe a spider, and no one would see me.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, aside from tall and corner brooding edgelord over there tries to find Umbra, can't find him. Stealth is not exactly this group's forte.
I actually have a +5 in stealth, but shh.
Okay, with the exception of you, I'm wearing a full hazmat suit, and Jar is wearing a jar.
And is talking quite loudly about the Warrior's Way.
Honestly, that's become background noise to Brook at this point.
Right, Zell will start making their way towards the iron. Is the iron flagon?
Yeah.
To be there to wait for the right time.
Yeah, because
And
you've got
also-
about 4 hours now before the meeting.
Yep.
Okay, so just to be open, like when we enter the meeting is like where I'm thinking of or planning to enter the meeting is when I'm planning on ending the session for today. Just to give like Umbra some time to catch up with what's gone on today, and just in case there's anything that Umbra as a character wants to do or wants to contribute.
Well, do we want to stop before that then?
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, like, is there anything particular that anyone wants to accomplish in the flagon, or elsewhere in the city in this afternoon?
Is there anywhere that we haven't been that we could check out in the meantime? That's the question. Let me find the list.
And there's probably a couple of places, but it's whether it's worth it.
Yes,
Town
you
hall.
haven't gone to the town hall. You haven't gone to the manufacturing square at all yet, so that could be worth scouting out. You haven't gone to the clothing shop or the dye shop.
Jar would like to take the crates that he purchased down to Clayshade.
Okay. Just donate them to the masses?
Yeah.
Beautiful. You kind of clunk past the guards that you asked a question of not too long ago. They whisper about you. Anyone else?
Where is the hang on. Textile manufacturer.
It's number 6. I have tried to make
9.
the letters... Oh, 9 is the dyers.
Okay, and
Let me know if the letters
we're
aren't
right
visible
by
to
7.
everyone else.
We're right by 7, so could pop in at 7. Well, first window shop, or just see what they've got.
I think Umbra would probably accompany Jar, trying to balance out your level of stealthiness somewhat.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, once again, Jar is not being stealthy at all. Like, Jar is very just kind of like walking normally.
Yeah. At the very least, I think Umbra would want to be there to know how you're like blowing the party's cover.
Yep.
And Zell goes to the Wolf and Hearts clothing company. What about Brook and Cain?
I would like to go to the medical center, but
Okay.
just to like look at it, not like, going inside and seeing the people. But that's all. I'm not gonna interfere in anything.
Okay. And what about Brook?
Honestly, he quite likes the guard. He'll leave Bruce alone. Find like a park bench or something.
Do his like little crosswords or something.
Kind of. I'm thinking about swapping the infusion away from Davina, because Davina is never in the front line. I have a feeling Jar might be in the front line. Might be more useful to put the infusion on Jar.
Cool. Does everyone know where to find the infusion tracker for Brook's infusions?
No.
Under house rules.
Yeah. There's a
Very-
folder right at the top, character creation / house rules. It's the last thing along. I've also slightly updated the character creation / options thing. Mostly with just, things that have come about recently. It's just my policy on multi-classing and druids wearing metal armor and stuff like that. So feel free to give that a peruse.
Mhm. I'll let Davina know, but I'm gonna take the +1 AC away. If anyone has any preference on that kind of thing, let me know.
It might
My-
be
my-
worth adding what exactly the infusion does onto the table.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, replicate magic item is just a list of common magic. I think it's common or uncommon, can't remember.
Okay.
I can replicate. Enhanced defense is +1 AC. Enhanced weapon is +1 to attack.
Okay.
Well, here's the issue.
You don't use either.
The helmet is not armor.
Yeah, it's flavor.
I
Yeah, I
also
could-
do not use weapons. You have not seen a single weapon on Jar the entire time
Oh
you've
my
been
God.
around them.
I figured.
Enhanced
A
defense
true
is
barbarian.
just to general AC, isn't it?
It
Or
has
is it
to target
specific?
It does have to specifically be on an armor piece. I remember playing an artificer myself.
Okay. I've not played one myself yet.
I mean, going by previous engagements, Zell has quite often ended up in the front line, and I probably doesn't want a repeat of the werebear incident.
No, strangely enough, I don't want a repeat of that. Me going from my entire health bar to 1. Actually,
That
no,
was
I
fun.
got
What are you
I got
talking about?
critted and I just passed the save. I remember that.
Well, I am a spar druid, so I'm thinking about going to the front line for a while. So
So we've got a couple of claimants.
I mean,
Yeah.
when I level up, I can just keep on passing them. The whole thing is with my subclass, because it's not one of the base 3. I need to have as many people with different equipment options as possible.
Okay.
Doesn't matter which one you have, provided you have one of them. But I can't change it until a long rest anyway.
Okay.
So right now it's kind of useless. Because I can't teleport to myself.
Skill issue.
Yeah, if there-
More wording issue. But
Yeah, if there was I don't know, like a general infusion, maybe I could take it, but
I mean, the replicate magic item would be it. Unless
Yeah,
I
I'm
can
not-
enhanced weapon hand wraps or something.
unless you can enhance weapon just like my hands and feet in general. but I don't
Well,
think that's going to be possible.
Oh well, just thought. Yeah, Brooke will spend the time basically coming up with possibilities for that.
I have this mental picture right now of like you sitting on this peaceful park bench right in the middle of a city. It's this like zone of quiet. There's only the occasional chirping of birds and shuffling of platypuses around. And you're just having this conversation inside your own head with the members of your party about what constitutes armor and what constitutes a lethal weapon. While you're just planning it out on this piece of paper.
Sure, we'll go with that.
But it seems like, is Cain and Zell both going to the clothing shop?
I can accompany him, yeah.
Cool. We'll chase up with you guys. Jar has probably made his way to the clay shade by now. Made their way, sorry. And they have a couple of armfuls of fruit and veg to give out.
Yep, is just gonna kind of like go literally like door to door, and is just going to be offering. I would kind of like to try to see if I can help offset my very uncharismatic personality by utilizing my rustic hospitality.
Okay. Are you specifically looking for somewhere to like rest this evening, or is it's just a general charm?
So like instead of like trying to offset by I surprisingly Jar has negative charisma. If
That
you
shocks
believe it
me.
or not. I know, right? So instead of like hoping to like persuade people, I would like to just kind of like utilize this kind of like air of like folksiness that Jar has as part of their background to kind of like offer and provide these folks with just like these fruits and veg, like however much that they need.
Okay. I'm gonna say, since that's not quite within like your the purview of a feature as written, dexterity is higher than your strength, isn't it? Or is it
I
the
have
other
a
way
few
around?
that are. Yeah, no, my dex is higher than my strength.
I'm gonna ask you to like, roll me a dexterity based persuasion roll.
Okay. So I'm just gonna make a flat dex roll because I don't have any proficiency in persuasion anyway.
Okay. I will give you advantage on that because you are technically channeling your background feature in this.
Okay.
It's better.
That's very nice.
It's
Just turn
it's a rule
around.
of cool thing. It's you go from door to door knocking and you're just like flexing your dexterous muscles. Hello, kind sir, madam, or neutral. I am coming and giving you some fruits and veg this fine day. I am a servant of the people, type thing. And there seems to be very, very mixed results, more leaning towards the negative. It seems like people in the clay shade really don't trust the concept of folk heroes. A couple of people like do accept some of what you're giving away, and those who do accept, you can see they're very desperate. Like they'd probably eat something that's visibly rotten if it were there. The fruit and veg you can't give away. I assume that you could you would leave in some form of central location with just a sign saying free to take on it.
I'd leave like. How much would you? Because you said I got like about 4 crates. So how many do you? How many would I have been able to give away?
You've been able to give away about a crate's worth.
I'll leave 2. Just kind of like by the tarot shop, with like a sign, and then I'll just like keep 1 and I'll carry it with me.
Okay,
And it's the onions.
fair enough. Carry them with you back to the Iron Flagon?
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, also, I was looking at the list of replicate magic items. Like, yeah, literally any of you can. If you can buy me like a hat, I can breathe underwater. Make me a pair of goggles of night. I just wear them around the jar.
Of the job.
Yeah. Sending stones, I just fucking gaffer tape a stone to the side of the jar and it just works.
I love it.
Got a little stick on it that kind of goes towards the mouth area.
I'm sure I
It's-
can come up with something.
It's blue mage tooth.
Meanwhile, at Wolfenhart's clothing emporium, it is closed. All the lights are off inside. The door has been locked. And while there are some quite beautiful pieces of clothing displayed on the windows, there was also a sign saying closed due to illness.
Hmm. Do I see anyone's side? Can I see anyone's side?
Roll me a perception check, please. You really
25.
squint inside. You see something moving about, but it's not humanoid. You squint a little further and you see it's a cat. The cat jumps from one sewing machine up onto the head of a dummy. It briefly stops to stretch and scratch its claws on this on the felt fabric that this hat is made out of. And then it jumps through a hole in a window right at the top of the wall. Lands in the alleyway. And it has a big juicy mouse dead in its mouth. And it saunters away quite happily.
I want to use speak with animals to talk to her. And
You'll have to walk pretty briskly after the cat because it is not paying you much heed. It is trotted away and it is looking for somewhere to eat its meal.
well, then I just gonna leave them be. They look busy. I don't want to intrude.
As you're
I'll try to.
Yeah, as you're looking down the
Yeah.
alley towards this cat, you see there's a blackbird just perched on the opposite roof of the clothing shop that's also watching the cat go.
First, I want to try to knock on the door of the shop to see if anyone responds.
Which there is no response.
Then I'll try to talk to the bird.
What do you want?
Hello, excuse for bothering you, but the shop is closed, and that's a sign here saying they are sick. Do you know anything about it? Could you help me with some insight?
Yeah. Came back from Fruitmere. Sick.
And where they are right now?
In the house.
Well, I just knock and no one respond.
That shop, not house.
Oh, could you perhaps point me the way to the house?
It's straight south, as the crow flies.
And do you happen to know the name of the person?
Wolf?
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for your kindly help.
No matter.
And I'll
The
turn to
crow
Zal
just
and be
like
like,
flies away going, you're not gonna die.
perhaps. I'll turn to Zal and be like, if you want, we could get to this person's house, see if we could maybe heal them for you to look into the shop if you really want to.
Hmm. Wait, sorry, what?
We could get to this person's house. I have some knowledge on medicine and healing, and we could put them back to the feet and make them open the shop for you if you really want to shop
So,
for clothing.
Cell looks at shop and says, I don't really think it's that necessary. If it's closed, it's closed. However, if you feel like seeing if you could help out, then I'll join you.
And you see kind of like torn between helping or not. Yeah, sure. I think if you could help, you should help.
Okay.
And we go into the house.
As far as you can work out, the house is pretty close to the flagon anyway. So if you reconvene with the others, it's always a possibility to pop back.
Sure.
Yep.
Oh, that's far too bright. Okay, I assume that after a little while of pondering in the park, Brook would probably go to the tavern to meet up with the rest anyway.
If that's where he gets told to go afterwards, then yeah. But if he hasn't been told, probably not.
Would Zell or Cain come back to grab him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'd be
Then
like,
he would indeed
what
be.
the fuck?
Nyum.
Cool. That is added to the map. And reconvening all at the tavern once more. We're going to call it there for the week.
Okie doke.
All right.
Okay.